Hey everybody, look who's here with me today. The other Michael,
the other Michael.
Of General Hospital. And of course, you know, Ramal, my children, and everything else he's done. It's so great to see you. My God, I think this is our first chat in over 3 years, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, but we've known each other for 3 decades. So
3 decades, which is amazing. Listen, which is amazing. And we're still standing, Michael.
And we're still doing it, which is amazing.
Right?
Still rocking it, man. I was like, this is exciting to me. You know, every once in a while, the universe gives you a nod. You know, so I just love it. It's just I love having known you for 30 years. For one thing, I don't have to explain anything because you know better than I do. You know, you guys, forgive me if my dog chimes in and stuff. She's like, we're in the living room and she loves to persecute the postman. So forgive me.
And the name of your dog is?
What?
The name of your dog?
Goldie, come here. Come on over here. Ladies and gentlemen, my current wife. There she is. My current wife. There she is. My dog.
Oh, so cute.
She is a sweetie.
How long have you had her?
That's a good question, Mikey. Since 2013, I think. Yeah, I think I remember. She was like literally. I was at. She's named Goldie because I was in Gold's gym, having a heart attack on some stairmaster or something, and somebody carried her through the gym, and I thought she was great because she was covered with dust. She was about a year old. Somebody had turned her out, and I heard myself. You know, I walked by the front desk, and there was a lady there. I think her name was Maria, very sweet. She was like screaming in Spanish on the phone. I said, and she was so adorable. And I said, you know, who are you talking to? She goes, Animal Services. And I said, well, they'll just kill her. She goes, well, my manager wants to put her on the street again. And I heard myself say, as if from a dream, in a dream state. I say, well, I'll take her.
So, listen, Michael, your work has been so fantastic over the last several months of episodes that we've seen. Your work is always fantastic, but it was so nice to see you mix it up, like really mix it up with Jane Elliott and Erika Slezak, which was just such a treat for all of us, because it was not just, you know, it's Jane, who is General Hospital, Erika, who we all know is Vicky is One Life to Live. You were Tad and all my, like the whole thing was kind of like,
you're sitting there watching, like worlds collide. It was like people that have been ABC fans. They're like going, "Oh my God, they're
going on!" Yeah, man. You know, it was just incredible. And you know, you got the opportunity to, I guess the first thing is work with Erika, who
it's amazing.
Which I wanted to know. Did you ever? Had you worked with? You've never worked with her, did you?
No, I got to tell you, man. It's like my first day on, I think it was Erika. I'm not sure. It was way back in 81. My first day on a soap opera was, oh, look at you. You're going to show me up. My first day on a soap opera was, I think, 1981. And there was I think it was Erika was having a Sweet 16 party for her daughter at the time on the show. Mary Jo Slater cast it back in, you remember those days? Mary Jo Slater cast it. She gave me a gig when I was like an under 5 or an under 10 or something at a party. But I've been aware of Erika ever since. And I think she comes from a showbiz family, but Erika comes from a real like stage vibe. I mean, she loves to. The great thing about Erika is if you have two minutes, she just loves to figure out the music of stuff. I mean, she loves to run lines. She loves it, and which is sort of a premium because we don't, you know, the way things. You know this better than anybody. The way we take things down so fast. I think we used to do like 32 items in a day, and now I think we're doing an average of 65 something, like twice the load. And Erika just loves to figure out the music of stuff. And she's also Jane's the same way. It's like you work with certain people, you can always count them to hit it back over the net. It doesn't, I mean, because there are people who are really, really wonderful, but it's so fast. And I've worked with people that are so fast, like they'll give you Emmy-winning performance. But if you light your hair on fire, nothing's going to change. It's going to be that. But both of them are so adaptable. They're so fast, and they're like Jane is like a kid in a candy store because she'll grab onto something. There'll be a piece of business. Like, for instance, I got frustrated the other day because I think I was doing a thing where I was at the table with her and Genie. I was in the Metro Court. She's torturing me. And I sort of instinctively picked up the fork like I was going to stab her in the throat with it, right? And Jane just doesn't bat an eye. She just like, she takes the fork, slams it down and says, if you had any balls, if you grew a pair, you tell Drew to go screw himself or something. And I just love that because it's, no matter what you do, it's like, we're going to give you something. And I have to say, Mikey, thank you for giving me the chance to say this, but I'm having a ball. I could kiss Frank Valentini's shoes for getting me off and Chris and Elizabeth for getting me off. Not just, I want to really reach out and hug Chris and Elizabeth for getting me off the bench, but retooling the character because, Martin started out one thing at the whole Kentucky Fried Chicken and the beer thing. And, about 2 years ago, Frank just said, okay, we talked and, that's all well and good, but we want you to be more of a leading man. We want more of Tad, and so I've been allowed 2 lives on General Hospital, and the people I get to work with are amazing. And like you and I talked on the phone, working with Cameron again, it's like, it's old home week, babe. It's like my senior class.
Yeah, Cameron.
Boy.
Drew.
Better looking on the inside than he is on the outside. He's one of the sweetest guys I've ever known.
What do you think about his incarnation of Drew? It's so the opposite of Ryan. He's just
it's so the opposite. And it's not just that, it's the opposite of the way Drew started. Cameron and I talked about it, and he said, God, I started out this, I was like, I was a good guy and stuff. And then we turned right, and all of a sudden he is just so vile. You know what I mean?
So vile. But
I think he's grown into it. I think he's having a ball.
I think he's having the most fun he's ever had. And I think I was seeing an interview with him. He said it's actually easy for him to do. Not that hard, like it was easy for him to inhabit that. And I think he's been fantastic. But you too, Martin's a very complex character. They always have him like he's become shady and underhanded.
Yeah. Like, and I think they're still figuring it out, Mikey. That's absolutely true.
This was the best when she.
Oh yeah.
He literally.
Hey, that's a perfect example, Mikey. That is vintage. That's vintage Jane. Okay, because and she and I will do that to each other. It's like she, as a matter of fact, she was. I think we were doing the dress, and she reached up and she goes, "You're going to big boy chicken," and she does this thing, and I grabbed her and I said, "You got to do that. You simply have to do that." And she's so fast, but she does that stuff all the time. She's well, they don't get any better.
She's all my children too.
Yeah, exactly. She was Andrew's mother. She was Palmer Courtland's, I think, 3rd wife or something. And so I think it was 86, 85 or something like that. So we go back and yeah. We go back. Like I'm saying, there's something that's so brilliant, so wonderful about the world we inhabit. Because everybody, this better than anybody in the world. Anybody can take shots at soap operas. They're ridiculous. It's like, how many times can your kid get stolen by gypsies and you marry the same person? Dixie comes back from the dead twice, just so that we can walk off into the sunset together. And the second time, they don't even tell you how it happened. She's just there and she's alive. You know what I mean? Or Jesse, we see Jesse's body go into the ground and he's back. So everybody can make fun of soaps. The people that are really brilliant at it, like Erika, and God knows, like Jane. And Genie too. Genie, in a certain respect, Genie's one of the funniest people I've ever worked with. Is the more you do this over the decades, literal decades, it's like you get better at picking out what is innately eccentric about yourself and pumping it into something they give you, or the other thing is, this too, is like the lightning in a bottle thing. I mean, how many times do you think they give somebody a scene together and they go, those two are okay together. Let's have them back. Let's do more of that.
Well, I do think with Tracy and Martin, there's definitely, there's so much good. The two of you together, it's like, this is hilarious, but it's like, two, like they're both underhanded actually. And, they play dirty and they,
and they love playing dirty. That's the thing.
Playing dirty.
They love playing dirty. I said to Jane a couple months back, I don't know when, it's like, you know what? I think we have a soap opera relationship based on a Wile E. Coyote commercial. A cartoon, like a Roadrunner cartoon. It's like, I scheme and scheme and scheme and scheme and scheme. And I'm always going to be the one to get the anvil on the head, because Tracy sidesteps, and like the next thing you know, she figures out what's going on and finds a way to snake her way out of it.
But he was he wanted revenge on her because of what he did with the wife. Like he had a plan.
Oh, the ex-wives, yeah.
Right? So there were all the wives that we learned. One of them was Cassie DePaiva, right, Blair?
Yeah, Cassie.
And one of the three, and she screwed him over.
She basically says, she's just like, she figures out, it's like, does he pay alimony and stuff? And so and I think that, like you say, it's great to be, for Chris and Elizabeth, it's great to be a new toy. As a matter of fact, I remember being at a Christmas party last year, and I forgot what she gave me, but it was priceless. Elizabeth comes up to me, she was just giggling, and she said, Martin's going to do this. With Tracy, I forgot what it was, but it was like, it's fun being a new toy for the writers, because they vibe to something, they catch something, and all of a sudden, as they say, the jokes write themselves. And God knows, Jane's got a great sense of humor. And I was going to say Genie too, another person I adore working for.
Here she is, you and Genie.
I freaking love working with her because she is innately funny. She has got the greatest sense of humor, and she and I make each other giggle, which I remember we were doing something with Frank like a while ago, came up and said, I can buy that you guys would be brother and sister. But she can turn on a dime. She can play heart. She can play the family thing so well. And she laces it with all of this, me and her sort of torturing each other as you could believe only a brother and sister would. That, like I say, I'm working with the best of the best, the people that have been around for, a long time.
I was just thinking that Genie Francis, Jane Elliott, Erika, like you really can't. That's it. Like that's the creme de la creme.
Yeah. Like and also, like, okay, perfect example. Wally, Lisa, we go back. Listen, Wally and I both screen tested against one another for Tad.
That's right.
Wally and I go back to like 1980, for God's sake. I remember Lisa when she was like the on Loving. And I remember meeting her with Catherine, and this drop dead girl walks in. And I said, "Who the hell is that?" And so there you are. Flash forward. I was talking. We were making jokes about, as only you can, soap actors can. And we were shooting that thing in the Quartermaine living room where I'm gonna get nabbed, or the dog had stolen the paperwork or something like that. And I was talking about, well, does it really make sense that I do that? And I look up, and Lisa's got this Betty Davis look on her face, like smoking a cigarette, going, "Honey, I watched a man shoot my son in the chest. 2 years later, I was married to him." You know what I mean? Suck it up, dude.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, let me ask you this. I want to take you through some of these scenes. This was incredible. Martin actually spiked her tea.
Yes.
And he goes on this only as Erika Slezak can. It was brilliant. If you saw the scene where she goes after Tracy. She goes after Tracy. And we know something's up with the connection between. What did you think about the depths that he did? And he was so awful to her. when he blackmailed her towards the end of it. He was like, you're going to jail if you don't sign this over to Drew. Like, he blackmailed her, and you can see she's so like regretting what.
Oh God, she's so great at, you know, that vulnerability. And I asked her, I said, please come back and do this, because in 3 weeks she creates this wonderful, wonderful character where, you know, basically, okay, we get it, Tracy is Tracy, but then you see the rest of the Quartermaines fall in love with Ronnie and her fall in love with them. So if you want to know the truth, how I felt after doing this stuff is I felt worried. I was like, okay, Martin was complex, but now he's sort of a bad guy. And I thought, oh, well, he's taking a page from another one who was amazing to work with. I miss him so much, Jeff Kober. He's like one of the best actors I've ever stood next to on camera. So there, I guess I'm taking a page from Cyrus's book, but I was kind of worried after we did that, because they really, and I, God knows, Mikey, I leaned into it. I wasn't, you know, I was like, let me tell you something, because the way I looked at it is in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm so far deep into this. If you tell me you're bailing on this now, then I got nothing. So, and I think the last line was, you know, I was talking at a great, they gave me a great, and I wonder if Chris and Elizabeth directly had, I don't know if it's a dialogist, or I wonder sometimes if Chris or Elizabeth actually says, I want this block, I want this speech. And there was a great breakdown about how Tracy had taken everything from me, and I wasn't going to be happy. I wasn't going to stop. I wasn't going to be happy until he took everything from her. And so they gave me this hook on the end of the scene, which was where I look at Ronnie and say, you know, I will take everything you have, including your freedom. So, and it was great. It was fun. But I didn't know how I was going to play. I was worried. And the reason I'm doing this interview is, God bless you, I love you. Because a friend of mine sent me your blurb, and they were like, say what you will, the scenes were great. And it was like, oh, Mikey, thank you for that.
They were great. It was like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I don't know. It was just so, like, Erika doing her thing and you doing your, and it was just so intense. And you felt so bad for her, and you were like, but, you know, he wasn't going to let it go. He was going to, you know, drive it home. And it was just, it was amazing. What happened when they yelled cut? Did you guys say anything, or did you just walk away?
Oh, I think I hugged her. You know, she said basically, because she knew, and like I say, Erika comes from a theater, she comes from a showbiz family. And she, like I say, she loves to pick out the music and stuff. And there were two of those scenes that we ran over and over and over and over again, because she knew this was like one of the caps of 3 weeks of work that they had her to do. And as a matter of fact, they were slightly out of sync. I think we filmed the end, and then there was 2 or 3 days where she filmed some stuff that was sort of in the middle of the storyline, and she wanted it to play. She really was invested. She wanted it to play well. She worked her heart out. And after it was over, we kind of looked, because I think we took 2 or 3 passes at it. So at the end of it, you're kind of like, you know, I'm sweating in my suit there, going, you know, sort of panting, looking at each other. And she came over and she hugged me and she said, thank you for putting the work in. So it was, like I say, I knew the work was good. I was worried because I wanted to see, now I want to see, knowing that that's out there, what do Chris and Elizabeth do now? It's like, oh, okay. You know, you get Martin in a corner. What? You know, what's he going to do? How low can you go? And once they know that you can, it's like Cameron. I don't think it's easy for him to do. I think it's fun for him to do. I think he's gotten to the point where he's having fun being a bad guy. It's like, no, you cross me, you die, basically. So I just want to see, like, to go back to the scene. Thank you very, very much for the props, Mikey. I think I was happy to get a chance after. I mean, let's face it, I was out of work for almost 10 years, except for 6 glorious months. I got to work with Eileen over there on Young and the Restless, which was
Young and the
Restless. Eileen is just Oh, love her, love her, love her, love her. But so, to be able to get a chance, not just, I mean, literally just to work, to have a chance to be on set at my age, having been around for 4 decades, and to have a chance to get a chance to do stuff like that. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for the fans for giving me the chance, because I think I was on the third day, and Frank came down to my dressing room I was in, which is scary because Frank didn't come to people's dressing rooms. It's like, when the exec producer knocks on your dressing room, you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? So he comes in and he goes, the weirdest thing is happening. It's like on social media, the fans are going, holy shit, Michael Knight's still alive. Do you want to continue to play this out? And so, I mean, the guy that I would, give him the last 5 years of my life for is Frank Valentini for going, there's something to do here. Because it had been long and lean for a long time. There's, like I say, there's nothing like some really good failure to make you grateful to have the chance to get in there and play with people like Jane and Cammie and Erika.
The one thing, so when on the story point, so after it's all come out, they know he forged the will, and he gets arrested. She has Chase throw him out of the mansion. Then there's like a moment, and then he's shown up at Laura's office without like he's free, and he basically admits to her like what he did, and she tells him she has to leave her house just to move out. Yes. Is that kind of so? Where's their relationship right now, Martin and Laura? Are they?
They're still very much brother and sister, and I think it was, again, I kind of wish they flushed that out a little bit, because what Tracy delights in, and what he keeps trying to do to Tracy, is to get him down to zero, to get him down to nothing, and like basically she bankrupt me, and I think the thinking in Tracy's head, or in Ned and Chase's head, it's like, deny him a home. He's like, where's he? He's going to hang his hat. He's got nowhere else to go. All he's got is his sister. And it's like, and they are well aware of Laura's reputation for being an upright person, and saying, okay, we're not necessarily, I'm kind of wondering too, and knowing, I'll bet you dollars to donuts that knowing or thinking I know the character of Tracy, that's always going to be there. She loves to have ammunition, and I think that will thing is always, felony fraud is always going to be forefront in our relation, the way she deals with Martin. I just want to know where it goes. I'd be interested to see where it goes from here.
Right. And so he kind of, now what we're seeing this week's episode, Drew demands that Martin be the co-counsel to defend Willow, right? And Alexis is pushing back, but Drew is threatening her that he'll cut every scout off from her if Martin isn't part of the case. So Martin just seems to go along with us with Drew.
I mean, another person who's just spectacular to work with is Nancy. And I go back to the stuff where I was, when she was in Pentonville, and I was her lawyer for 5 minutes, and it was like, I remember we did scenes where it was kind of like, we got to throw a lot of dust in the air. We got to get them to, getting them, the cops, to reopen the investigation is a win. So basically, let me do my thing. And there was a scene where Alexis is a very, 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 very good attorney, says, I'm not so sure, and Martin convinces her to do it. So now we have this bit where she comes to Martin. She goes, look, nothing against you, but I work alone, basically. And I think it was kind of cool for me as Martin to go, she's nothing if not a damn good attorney, and it was great to be able to turn around and say to Drew, it's like, you want Willow to get off, Willow to get acquitted, let her do her thing. All I'm going to do is come up the works. It's just like, you don't, you got yourself a thoroughbred, taking care of Willow, let her do her thing. So I didn't have a problem with that, believe it or not.
And also, doesn't Martin showed up for Laura before the last mayoral debate, and he supported his sister. He was there for his sister, right? Is that
right?
Kind of okay?
Right. I think that's the way back. You know, you say, okay, so how do you? She throws him out of the house, and I think, you know, his next big thing is, okay, after having found, you know, because family's premium, I think with family's a big deal to Martin. His older brother was wiped out. Father died at the hand of his older brother. Mother is in a home somewhere, and all of a sudden he's got this wonderful woman as a sister he never knew he had. So there's a lot at stake. So for me to get the chance to do the scenes backstage, you know, the thing where she just show up is like, I am here to support you if you have me. And I think they were I don't know how they played yet, because I can't watch myself. So I mean, I rely on it's like you to go, it was good. I think they played very sweetly. It's like, no. I mean, he shows up at the right time, and Ezra's doing this thing. Daniel Cosgrove, God bless him, another alum from All My Children. Who knew? Right? yeah, and I'm telling you. Mark shows up at the right time to say, don't stop believing in yourself. You know, do this. I thought it was, you know, very, very sweet. Like they give me a lot of really, really wonderful stuff to do. I'm just wondering, because as you know, the weird things about soap operas, like characters recognition can grow with time, with an audience, with a relationship with an audience. But strangely enough, a character's flexibility, a character's generative qualities tend to diminish, because there are just so many times you can marry the same person or do this or end up in the same place. So like I say, I'm having a ball because, Mike, you know, I was like, what was Tad off and on for 30 years. And it's so fun to be the Velveteen Rabbit again. It's so fun to be the new toy where they go, oh, okay, this week I'm a bad guy. They really want you to lean into Ronnie, okay? You know, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, we really want to see your heart with your sister. It's like where you've got things at stake. It's just going to be very interesting to see how. And one of the things I love about Frank too, I gotta give, because Frank, it's funny, he's probably going to be my last EP. My favorite EPs in my life were my first and probably my last, because Frank has done everything from the ground up. Frank could write the story. He's a director. I remember him, Christ, I can't remember. We met 25, 30 years ago or something with Catherine, my ex-wife. Catherine Hickman was over on One Life to Live. And Frank is very good. I mean, he can do everything from recognizing story to editing. I mean, he'll literally he'll do this thing which sort of amazes me. Is he'll stroll out, very nappy. He always has great shoes. He has great casual shoes. And he'll stroll out with his hands in his pockets, and he'll watch a scene, and then he'll talk to the booth, the director over the bike, and he said, he's got nicknames for people, and I said, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to, like, okay, either we're going to do it again, and I want you to give me a close shot on this, or I want you to do a flat shot, because in his head, he's actually in the booth already doing stuff. And so I will be interested to see, after Chris and Elizabeth have given me all this great stuff to do, what Frank, in his wisdom, will go, okay, you know, let's say that the Martin of 3 years ago was, we're going to let that, we're not going to talk about that. So the next, yeah. Now this is the Martin, you know, this is the Martin we're dealing with. You know, he is a known quantity with these kind of parameters. Where do you want to, you know, where do we take it? And I think that we all sort of agree that there's something that's just priceless about the Tracy Martin relationship. It's just fun to watch because basically, let's face it, we walk on set and it's all this. You know, I mean, it's not.
Do you see them actually falling for each other?
I think it's possible. I think the thing is, when you get a hatred that burns that hot,
hatred that burns that bad is usually passion.
there's got to be some kind of recognition. There's got to be some kind of kindred spirit. Only a person that you have a tremendous amount in common with can make you that can piss you off that much. You know what I mean? It'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, what was your first reaction to working with Jane? And what was it to Erika? Like, what was your takeaway? What happened when you first worked with either one of them? What was your, like, were you like, oh my God? Or were you like, oh, like, what was your, were you excited?
I was thrilled. Because, like I say, another thing, and you know this, I'm not telling stories out of school, because soap operas tend to be such a broad canvas, so many characters. You get all kinds of levels of people in their career and all kinds of people that have been trained, not trained. There are people that are there clearly for their looks. There are people there, but the people that tend to be there longest, the people that survive, 20, 30 years, like Jane, where like you walk into, Jane can do something that Ricky Paul Golden used to do, which I just loved, which was amazing. Ricky Paul Golden could walk into, and it's a game, we used to call it Finding the Bit. He played Jake, my brother. He was like
Jake. Yeah.
The third or fourth Jake.
The 10th Jake.
What?
The 10th Jake. There were so many Jakes.
The 10th, but the best, I think. Yeah. Because Ricky would walk in and from a standing stop, just having never even read the script, and we play a game called, because he decided very, very early on that the basis of our brotherly bond, which sold it very much like Genie, was humor. I mean, family tends to make, when they're not killing each other, tends to make each other laugh. So he would insist that in every day that we do, there was a bit of humor, there was something unlooked for, there was a piece of, there's a little bit of sparkle. And so he'd walk in and I'd go, okay, Ricky, well, here's this thing, find the bit. And he would go, out of 4 or 5 scenes, he'd go, okay, do this, let's shoot for this thing. Jane, to answer your questions, long story, I'm sorry, Mikey, is very much that way, because Jane's just not the kind of person that leaves well enough alone. She'll literally just, there's something that, okay, like the pinching of the cheeks, she'll just find something that always takes it. She always takes it up, another level. And, if you have 2 or 3 passes at it with her, by the end of it, I'm usually having so much fun. I'm chewing the scenery. A couple times this happened last week, where I'm having too much fun playing the screw you sort of with Jane, rather than just, no, it's a story. You've got a bit to do here. This is what the story is. We need to establish this, make sure this happens. Sometimes I tend to go off into parts unknown, because like I say, I walked on set, I get to work with Jane, and just from the beginning, it's always fun to work with somebody who's just going to give you more than it is on the page. You know what I mean? Because half the time it's enough to get what's on the page on tape.
I had talked to her at the Daytime Emmys when, because she was the a circle honoree, and I literally said to her, I said, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know, like, you're the most extraordinary actress. And yet this past year, it's even been more extraordinary, if that's even possible. Like, the moments that they've written for her and that she's been able to do have gone from, the tears to the anger. Like, it's been a beautiful story arc for her. I just thought
she's got the thing that I think Lucci had too.
Yeah.
Which is like, you can't believe that Lucci, like, I used to just be amazed how devoted the fans were to Susan, because she could be such a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? But at the same time, she was such a good comedian, and she could tear your heart out. And Jane's got the same thing. It's like you watch her, like she gets all puffed up. She's like a blowfish, like, you know, the Quartermaine and the Quartermaine this, the Quartermaine that. And then the minute it really matters, like her heart just basically leaps, you know, out of her eyes on the camera. And what I love the most is there was something I saw her do a couple years back in a courtroom where she does something really noble, but she doesn't want anybody to know about it. And she's like, you know, here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. And if you tell anybody, I'll make sure you end up, I'll sue you.
I'll sue you.
But, you know, and it's sort of, she's sort of like, there's a little bit of Robin Hood in there somewhere. You know what I mean? And she can do all of it. So, and, you know, like I say, it's, what was it like when I found out I got to work with Genie? It was like fucking thrilled. So.
And then Erika, who was, I mean, she breaks your heart. And did you say goodbye when, you know, she left?
Yeah, I asked her, I said, come back. I said, you know, okay, you've done all this great work. The Quartermaines love you. The fans love you. You've like, okay, you've created a place in people's hearts. When are you going to come back? She's like, I like my home. I like Connecticut. I like my family. This is hard work. You know what I mean? And for her it is, because she doesn't, you know.
I think from the interview, from the things I read and from what she had written to her fans, I think, and I'm not speaking for her, but it seemed like she really enjoyed her time there, even though it was, you know, it's a hard work to do. She said she would be open to returning, which would be amazing if they found another story for her.
I think they will. I hope they do. I really do. Because she's also a great, let's face it, she's a great foil for Tracy.
Do you think he just can't get away? Like, will he be under Drew's thumb? Or do you think he'll ever just go at Drew and be like, I'm done with you?
See, this is what I'm intrigued by, because we had this great thing, and I loved working. I loved doing the Stella stuff.
Yeah, Renee Watson's great too.
And I loved the day where we were in the police station, where I kind of told to Drew, it's like, okay, I know what you did. I know why you did it, and we're done, you know? But then, of course, along comes Tracy, and he's broke, and he needs the money, and his lifeline, Valentine, is in prison in Switzerland or something like that. So he needs the money. And now, it'd be interesting to see what they do. I would love it if it was like, but I couldn't do it because we've established that Martin's kind of shady too. There's this kind of Jiminy Cricket thing that happens sometimes. It's like he doesn't want to like Drew, and yet against his bet he does. I think there is a sort of very subterranean affection that he has for Drew for some reason. I don't know. That, you know, he keeps trying to be a better influence on him. And I don't know if that's from, I haven't decided yet. It depends on what Chris and Elizabeth want from me. But there's the whole backstory with Cyrus, and I got to play some wonderful stuff with Genie, which is no matter how bad Cyrus was, he's my brother and I loved him, you know. And along comes, there's this who is capable of literally doing anything. And there's this sort of instant replay with Drew. It's this guy with all of this power, which I think Martin appreciates too, working for a U.S. congressman. God knows he makes, he pays him a lot of money. So there is that. But I'd be interested to see if there's, like I say, this kind of perverse Jiminy Cricket thing going forward with Cameron, because Cameron and I could play the shit out of it if it evolves naturally.
Doesn't Martin warn Alexis that if she refuses his help, it'll be much worse for her if she loses the case?
Yeah, he basically said the one thing you don't want to do, you do not want to disappoint Drew. It's like disappointing Sonny. The one thing you don't want to do. I've always wanted to work with Maurice. Because we go back to when the world was still cooling together. Maurice and I, we have a thing where literally the magic is the bubble bursts, because we look at each other and we've known each other since we were kids, since our 20s, and just like we just start to laugh. But the great thing about that Maurice can do what he does with that character, which is, I always wanted to have a chance to say to somebody, you know, I would never double cross Sonny Corinthos because they find what was left of me in a doggy bag on the front seat of a rental car in Des Moines. You know what I mean? And I think that's very much the vibe with Drew. It's like, because if you disappoint him, he will make it his life's work to mess you over, to screw you over.
I want to just take you back for a minute to All My Children for a moment, because I saw this. Look at this. Mary and you. And Ray. I mean, what do you think when you look at these? Like, do you ever look back at any of this yourself, or do you just, it's so remarkable to me because you and Mary Fickett were so wonderful together.
Oh, we all were. I got to say.
And Joe, like, and I have Joe, and, you know, you and I talked after his passing, and, you know, we talked about that. But I look back on it sometimes, I'm like, this is incredible. When I go back and trip upon a clip or a photo, I'm like, it takes me so back.
Yeah, you can remember where you were, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God, it was such a part of my early, like, my life, right? I watched the show, and Joe and Ruth and there was the scene, my all-time favorite scene of yours with them. I think I told you this once, was when he didn't remember who he was. And he has this moment, I think they're in a train somewhere, and he goes, Mom, Dad, and she goes, Dad, because it like jars his memory. He had amnesia and he couldn't remember who they were. And there was this moment, and I thought, wow, Mary Fickett
she was something, man, wasn't she? Very first daytime Emmy winner ever. She won it an Emmy when they didn't exist. Okay, they didn't exist, and people in television go, whoever that woman is, you know, she deserves give her an attaboy. You know, God, she was amazing. She could talk about heart, talk about that. Erika's got the same thing where it's just, there's this heart radiating out of her. You can hang any kind of family drama on top of that character, and it would sell because it's such a great little solar system, the Martins. And the thing, my favorite, I think I've told this, my favorite thing, I just adore Ray because he was always, you know, he had sort of a face like Mount Rushmore, and he was always saying, well, we've got to do more tests at the
Dr. Joe.
We're going to have to do some tests. But he was literally one of the funniest people. I mean, we were doing I think it was my second day, and I was being picked up. He and Grandma Kate picked me up at the police station in Sea City. I'd been arrested. And we were doing dress rehearsal. And I didn't know these people from Adam. And I'm in the back seat, and he's sitting with Kay. And he's bitching at Tad or something like that. And Kay looks at him and he goes, "Oh, Joe, have a little heart, give the boy a break," or something like that. And Ray turns around in the middle of the dress rehearsal, "Shut up, you old bag!" And I started laughing until I was just crying. And it's sort of, there's something great about working with people for years and years and years. And there's good and bad about it too, but great thing, because Ray and I used to have this joke where he would always we'd be working on something, and especially if it was an emotional scene where, you know, I don't know, I'd stolen the car or some shit, and Ray would be doing the dress rehearsal, and he would shift ever so slightly, you know, to the right or left. And his point was that you're standing in my light. Even if I wasn't, you know, he would do it to me and because there was that kind of relationship. It's so easy to play love for somebody, you know, when they make you laugh like that. I mean, it's interesting because of Ray. To this day, I call my father Pop because Tad used to call Ray Pop. I used to write pop. And for some reason, I don't know when it started, decades ago, I started referring to my father, Louis, as Pop, not Dad. I've never called him Dad. I call him Pop.
I was gonna just a couple things, and then Jill.
Ah, Jilly.
I think she looks fantastic here in this photo, but I was just like, what about working with Jill at the Opal Tab? That was so fantastic. I was just looking at all the people that were like your parents, your adopted, but like all the people you kind of worked with in that.
Oh, she was like well, again, I go back to that drama thing. You know, if you can make him laugh, you can make him cry. Because Jill, God bless her, you know, she was a model. When she was a young girl, she was absolutely breathtaking. I have a picture of her with shoulder-length hair when she was modeling for a living, and I was like, wow. But as Opal, I think my favorite, because there was all kinds of stuff that we did over the years, I couldn't remember all of it, but there was a storyline with me and Katie where we had that apartment with the golf ball. I've never understood that. We got married and we had this bi-level kind of weird warehouse apartment. Looks like it would have been in New York somewhere with a golf ball. I don't know what the hell the golf ball was, but there was a summer or something where Jill, Opal, had to live with the mother-in-law. She had to live with us. And it was just delicious. It was so much fun to play. But at the same time, I mean, oh God, something so sad that will always make me tear up. The first person I saw after All My Children was canceled was Jill. And we were crossing the set. We were crossing each other on the set. And they didn't even I think Brian they put up a screen. He wasn't there. He didn't come to the studio. He put up a screen, said, okay, we're gonna call it a day. And I was walking on set because I had been called to set to do it was after lunch or something, to do my bit. And she was walking away from the announcement. And we just looked at each other and she just had tears just streaming down her face. And it was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like losing a piece of your family. Like knowing it's like, because you do it for so long, you think, oh, it's like the weather. The sun's always going to come up again.
Right.
You know, it's like the sun will come out, whatever. And you realize that this family, this thing, this emotional investment is never going to be there again. You know, and it just really kicks you in the gut. But to go back to her work, I mean, again. She could make you laugh and make you cry, you know, and in the same scene.
Yeah, she's incredible. And then you had Lee Merriweather.
Oh, Lee, she was great. What I loved about Lee was story. She could tell the story. Lee'd work with everybody, man. She'd been around and stuff, and it was like. And I had the same reaction to Barbara Rush too when I got to work with Barbara Rush. It's like people that had been in the business for so long, you'd be like, you couldn't help yourself. You'd walk out, you'd having a cup of coffee in your hand, and you're like, okay, come on, seriously, what was it like to do Barnaby Joe? You know, it's like, what was so and so like? I remember I had the greatest afternoon in the world talking to Barbara Rush about what was it like to do to work with John Wayne, and the same thing. I held it over her head, and I have it. It's a prized possession of mine. For years, I was after Lee to get me a picture of her as Catwoman in the cat suit, and I have it somewhere. And I say, okay, go on, seriously. What was it like to do? What was it like to work, you know, with Adam West? What was it like to do Batman, for God's sake? You know what I mean?
Did she like it? Or did she have fun, or did she not like it?
Yeah, she's one of the easiest people in the world to be with. Absolutely stunning. I remember looking at her going, and I think, well, I would have been in my 40s, late 30s, 40s. She was in her 60s, and just one of the most, you know, beautiful women I've ever worked with, inside and out. This is good. And to this day, I consider her daughter Leslie. She has two wonderful daughters. Leslie A. Letter is a stunt woman who is Lee's daughter, who I think is also one of my favorite people. Comes from that lineage.
Was it weird when, this was the new Ruth after Mary had died and she played the role?
Yeah, I think they got lucky. I'll tell you the truth, Mikey. I really do. I think if they could have can you imagine trying to replace Mary Fickett?
No.
It'd be like trying to replace Tony Geary. It's like, if you get this wrong, you are screwed. And I think they just got lucky, lightning in a bottle, And she never, I don't think she made it her own. She never tried to imitate anybody or, Mary Fickett or anything like that. And they, at that point, they were great with the characters. So all of the Martins were very, very well scripted. But I think they got really, really lucky. If anybody else, it could have been a disaster.
Now, do you and Katie still stay in touch at all?
I still, Katie will always be a dear friend. I mean, we grew up, she grew up together. I mean, she was, by my reckon, I had a good 10 years on Katie, but I think Katie was 19 when we started working together. And, we really talk about the great, sort of the worst and the best thing and the worst thing about soaps is they trade on personal relationships, on personal chemistry. And Katie and I were the kind of, we had the kind of relationship, you give us a phone book and, by the end of the day, we'd give you something. I'll always follow Katie from, whatever she's doing. She's over on Beyond the Gates now.
But it was incredible. Did you guys know you had instant on-screen chemistry?
No. See, that's the thing about Jane, why I give kudos to Frank.
Yeah.
Because I think part of, and Elizabeth and Chris, because I think a big part of soaps is catching lightning in a bottle. It's like all of a sudden you do a bunch of stuff. Like in the old days, Mike, you remember they had when you started in the 80s, they would give you we used to call it serving coffee service. Like you'd be the new brother or something, and you would literally come in and serve coffee for 6 months because they literally wanted to see. It was like an on-air screen test. They wanted to see how you relate to this person, that person. And then Katie and I, she was just doing a thing where I think she was Adam's nanny or something, and he had gotten her pregnant, and it was a scandal. And of course, all of Pine Valley, small town America, would look at her askance as the woman with the scarlet letter, and she needed a talk to, and which is that basically it's an old Experian trick. You need to have somebody to know what you're thinking. And the great thing about soap audiences is if you treat them with enough respect, they'll walk over, they will stick with you through thick and thin. But I do think you can, I have seen it go the other way too. I mean, I've worked for people that I didn't think had any business in daytime television. I think the biggest, if you said to me, what do I regret most? I really regret, but I understood it. I regretted when Agnes retired, because it was so, she had Pine Valley. She used to say that Pine Valley was a place I wish I lived in, and she could tell you, over coffee, this would be a great idea. This is where this should go. It's like small town politics and drama and this and that and the other thing. And the Romeo and Juliet storyline she used to come up with, Greg and Jenny. Like I say, and then there was a whole string of people that came in after that, and I don't think they ever got it.
Got you. Well, I think it's been fantastic, and I'm so glad you got to. Literally, were so instrumental in this story honoring Leslie Charleston and Monica Quartermaine. It was such a great story arc. The entire thing was so.
Well, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, seriously, dude. I have to say, like a friend of mine. Lindsay, she texted me. She said, "Oh, this stuff is great." I was like, "Oh, okay." And 2 days later, there was your blurb and saying, "Say what you will, it seems to be fantastic." And it was such a shot in the arm, because I know you've followed this. You've forgotten more about this industry than most people will ever know. To get kudos from you to say, "No, that was that was good." Like, no, that was worth a shout out. And I have to say, it's like soaps are like delivering the mail at a dead run. It just, it never stops. It's like a marathon, it never stops. And it's really rare that you get an attaboy that means the world. And it really does coming from you. So thank you because you are my go-to for the wonderful people, the fans that I always send every interview saying to these people that have been with me off and on for 40 years going, thank you for my life. If without you, the rest is silence, because at my age, it's like, I'm so thrilled that I still have a soap to go to.
Yes, and I think there's more to come, and I think it's gotten really interesting. I think they could go a lot of ways with Martin.
I hope so. I mean, like I say, I love this part of the vibe, which is the deal, which is being a new toy.
And it's much better than being Colonel Sanders.
Sanders? Yeah, get rid of Colonel Sanders. Get rid of the Colonel. Lose the accent. I had like 2 days where it was like I was losing the accent, and that was it. And I feel sorry because now I see stuff on social media. Like, what the hell happened?
Like, what was they doing?
Who is this guy?
All right, Michael, watch weekdays on General Hospital on ABC, streaming on Hulu. It was great to talk to you. It's always great to have a catch up.
Thank you, Mikey.
Bye, Michael.